Good morning class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online digital platform provided by Jagriti Classes. हम जो डिस्कस कर रहे थे वो है क्लास 10th का चैप्टर सेकंड दैट वाज एसिड बेस एंड सॉल्ट. तो आज जो हम उसमें टॉपिक करने जा रहे हैं, लास्ट वीडियो में हमने पढ़ा था NaCl का इलेक्ट्रोलाइसिस, है ना, द इलेक्ट्रोलाइसिस ऑफ NaCl. देन वी डिस्कस्ड वन मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट केमिकल कंपाउंड दैट वाज ब्लीचिंग पाउडर. ब्लीचिंग पाउडर का केमिकल नेम क्या था? Calcium oxychloride, CaOCl2. And how bleaching powder is prepared, we have seen that when calcium hydroxide reacts with chlorine, then we obtain bleaching powder. Next जो हमने देखे थे वो थे bleaching powder के uses. Bleaching powder was used to kill germs. Then bleaching powder, as the name suggests, नाम से ही पता पड़ रहा है, it is used for bleaching the clothes. Bleaching means to lighten or fade the color of clothes. So it is used in textile industry to bleach cotton and linen fabrics. Okay, then we said that bleaching powder is a disinfectant, that is it is used for cleaning the germs. Now what we are going to discuss or what we are going to start is washing soda. We have already discussed bleaching powder and the electrolysis of NaCl. Okay, this is the chapter 2 of class 10th. That is acid, base and salt. Now the third component which we are discussing is washing soda. The common name is washing soda, but what is the chemical name? So we'll see the chemical name of washing soda. The first point, always include the chemical name of the given chemical component. So its chemical name is sodium carbonate. It is sodium carbonate decahydrate. Okay, so this is the chemical name of the given component, that is washing soda. Washing soda is known as sodium carbonate decahydrate. Now we'll see its chemical formula. The chemical formula of this. Can you derive the formula from the given name? You have learned how to make formulas by using the symbols and then writing its valencies. Then you cross multiply the valencies to get a stable formula. So let's see if we can try and do it. The formula for sodium carbonate would be, like, write the symbol of sodium Na and carbonate is CO3. The valency of sodium or charge on sodium is +1 and on carbonate it is -2. The next remaining part is multiply, cross multiply the symbols. So we get Na2CO3. I said wherever there is 1, you don't need to include or write 1 in your formula. 1 को लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So we get Na2, Na comes 2. Never include these charge plus and minus in the subscript of writing formulas. Just we'll put 2 and not -2. So we get Na2 and CO3 is single, so we write Na2CO3. This is the formula for sodium carbonate. So the formula is Na2CO3. And what do you mean by the term decahydrate? Decahydrate, deca stands for 10. So we put a dot and put 10. And hydrated is a form when water molecule or crystalline water is present with the compound. So this is the formula of sodium carbonate, or we can say washing soda, which is Na2CO3.10H2O. Okay, so this is the formula. Now what we get is, what do you mean by this .10H2O? What does, you will see in different compounds like CuSO4.5 water, 5 H2O molecules with copper sulfate. So what this 10H2O means? It actually shows the crystalline water. It is called crystalline water. Okay, this water present in the compound does not signify that the compound is wet. This water present with Na2CO3 doesn't mean we have liquid Na2CO3 or aqueous or wet. For aqueous, for anything जो dissolved होती है एक solvent में, we write AQ. But this crystalline water is not showing that the compound is wet. The compound is not wet here. This crystalline water is just for giving stability to the compound. Okay. Now we'll see the third point. first point of washing soda was the chemical name of washing soda is sodium carbonate decahydrate. And then we wrote its formula, which was Na2CO3.10H2O. And I told you this 10 water is actually the crystalline water. This does not mean that this compound sodium carbonate is present in wet form. No, this is only the crystalline water which is indicated. Now we'll see its preparation. How this sodium carbonate decahydrate is prepared. What is the chemical reaction behind the preparation of washing soda? So for the preparation of washing soda, you just take sodium carbonate, Na2CO3. Okay, take sodium carbonate and leave it in air. From the air, it would absorb moisture, and moisture would be in the form of 10 water molecules. One molecule of sodium carbonate reacts with 10 molecules of this water. This is, again I am telling, not exactly water. It is the moisture from the air. And you all know the chemical composition of moisture would be H2O. So when sodium carbonate is exposed or kept in air for some time, then we get it, one molecule reacts with 10 water to give sodium carbonate Na2CO3.10H2O, that is sodium carbonate decahydrate. And this sodium carbonate decahydrate is what? This is our washing soda. So we studied 3 points till now about washing soda. That is the chemical name, chemical formula, and its preparation method. Now we'll see some of its uses. Now the next point, D, what we are studying is the uses of washing soda. Okay. The uses of washing soda. Washing soda, as the name suggests, it is used in detergents, in the soap. So for the first use comes, washing soda is used in detergents, used in cleaning, or I should write used in detergents. This is the first use. Then the second use of washing soda is, it is used in the preparation of, in the synthesis of borax. Borax is an important chemical reagent. So it is used in the synthesis of borax. You have to just remember the uses of every chemical compound which we are studying. Remember the common name of the compound, then remember its chemical name, then what you should know is the chemical formula of the compound, which can be easily derived from the name. Okay, by knowing the symbols and valencies and then cross multiplying the things, you get the chemical formula. Then what you should know is about the preparation, how the given chemical compound is prepared. And for preparation, a single step, that is a reaction, should be there. You can also write this reaction in language first and then you show it with the help of symbols. Like in preparation, you can write when sodium carbonate is exposed to air, then one molecule of sodium carbonates reacts with 10 molecules of water, that is moisture content of air, and it gets converted to Na2CO3.10H2O, which is sodium carbonate decahydrate. And in this way, washing soda is prepared. Then you can come to its uses, that is, firstly, it is used in detergents or soaps. We'll study the mechanism of action of soap and detergents in the next units. Okay? In carbonate compounds, there is given how soaps function. What is the mechanism behind the function of soaps? Then the second use comes, it is used in the synthesis of borax. Next use is, this washing soda is used in paper industry. It is very useful in paper industry. Okay, it gives you a shine or a white color to the paper. The next use, the fourth use comes, it is also used in glass making industry. It is used in glass industry. And the fifth use, which is very important, that it is used to remove the hardness of water. It is used for the removal of hardness of water. What do you mean by hardness in water? Water, as you all know, is very soft. It is liquid. It flows easily. hard water. We'll not discuss it in detail. These concepts will come in higher classes. I am giving you just a brief idea so that you don't have to mug up the use. You should have an idea what do you mean by hard water. So water can be categorized into two parts. It is hard water and soft water. The soft water is which we get in our homes. And this hard water. Hard water is nothing but hard water contains salts of calcium and magnesium. It has various salts of calcium and magnesium. And due to the presence of these salts, the soap can't perform well in hard water. That is, if you have a stained cloth or a dirty cloth and you try to wash it with the soap, okay, then in the presence of hard water, the soap does not react or does not perform its action of cleaning. So hard water is nothing but the water containing different salts of calcium and magnesium. And the salts can be various like calcium sulfate, calcium chloride, magnesium sulfate, okay? So these are the salts present in hard water due to which the soap does not perform well. And therefore we had the discovery of detergents. So this is what hard water means. So this, everything we have discussed what you should know about washing soda. Chemical name, chemical formula, preparation and uses of washing soda. I hope you understood this. Now we are moving on to our fourth chemical compound, the fourth important. First was NaCl, sodium chloride. Then we discussed what? Bleaching powder, CaOCl2. Now the third we discussed just recently. It was washing soda. Now moving on to the fourth. The fourth one is baking soda. After reading about baking soda, after knowing its uses, preparation, common name and everything, I want you to make a differentiating column in your notebooks about baking soda and washing soda and write their difference in the form of points. So this would be easier to learn. Now what I am explaining is baking soda. So baking soda, as usual, the first point would be what? This is the common name. Baking soda is the common name of the compound. Now you should know the second most important thing, that is its chemical name. What is the chemical name of baking soda? And next, what is its chemical formula? In each compound, I'll discuss all these points. I discuss these points. For NaCl, you only should know the electrolysis. What is electrolysis? The breaking of NaCl into constituent atoms or ions in the presence of electricity. Electro means presence of electricity and lysis means the breakdown. NaCl breaks into two ions, Na positive and Cl negative. So for NaCl, you should know its electrolysis process. Then the second which we discussed, bleaching powder, then the same process will be followed. Chemical name, chemical formula, preparation method and then its uses. Okay, so here also the chemical name and chemical formula. Chemical name is sodium hydrogen carbonate. The chemical name of baking soda is sodium hydrogen carbonate. Or it is also known as, or we can write its another name. I told you earlier also that for hydrogen carbonate, we can use the term bicarbonate. So baking soda is also known as sodium bicarbonate. So this is the chemical name of baking soda, sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate. Now we are dealing with the chemical formula. Can any one of you make its chemical formula? Yes, it is very easy. Let us try in a rough column. Sodium, Na stands for sodium, and hydrogen carbonate or bicarbonate is one and the same thing. It is HCO3, okay, bicarbonate. Sodium is +1 here and HCO3 is -1. When you cross multiply the valencies, this is the symbol. For making formulas, you should know the symbol of the constituent elements and you should know their valency or charges. Knowing the symbol and valency, write them up and cross multiply the valencies. What we get is Na1HCO3 Never include the plus and minus charges while making the formula, while writing the superscript or subscript in the formula. So we are, and 1, we don't have the need to write 1. So we get the formula as NaHCO3. This is the formula of what? Sodium hydrogen carbonate. So I'm writing the thing here in front of chemical formula. So chemical formula is NaHCO3. This is the chemical formula of what? Sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay. So we have done the chemical name and chemical formula. Now what we have here, the next point, it's preparation, the method of preparation. Preparation means the chemical reaction you have to tell which is included for baking soda. So for its preparation, we take our NaCl. NaCl is very important compound and it is known as common salt or table salt. But it is used, I'm writing a point here about NaCl. NaCl is used as a raw material. Raw material means starting material. So NaCl is used as a raw material for the preparation of various chemical compounds or different important chemical compounds. This is the use of NaCl. So NaCl is very important. So we studied it in the beginning. Okay, the process of formation and electrolysis. Now for the preparation, we'll use NaCl only here. So for preparation, what we do, we take NaCl as a raw material or reactant, and then we add 3 things. Add water, CO2 and ammonia to it. Remember, the preparation method of baking soda is what? Take the reactant 1 as NaCl and you have to add 3 more things. That is water, then we get CO2 and then we had ammonia. So on reaction of all these, what we get as product is we obtain NH4Cl as our salt. You all know a salt would be obtained, and here the byproduct or the next product, not the byproduct, the next major product would be sodium hydrogen carbonate, NaHCO3. So this sodium hydrogen carbonate, or I should say baking soda, is formed in the following reaction. In exams, you can write first this reaction in the language and then you can express it in the terms of formulas. How you will write? When sodium chloride undergoes a reaction with water, carbon dioxide and ammonia, the products obtained are sodium hydrogen carbonate, that is referred to as baking soda, and the byproduct is ammonium chloride, which works as a salt. So this is the reaction of baking soda. Now we are coming in the next slide for its uses. We are now taking the uses of what? Uses of, yes, of course, baking soda, which we are discussing. So the first use of baking soda is, it is used to make antacids. The first use is, baking soda is used in the preparation of antacids. What do you mean by antacids? Antacids, as already discussed in the previous video lecture, antacids are the drugs made up of chemicals which are prescribed by doctors, which are taken during the problem of acidity, during the disorder or problem of acidity. We discussed in the importance of pH, the daily examples. In our digestive system, we have our acid HCl. When HCl is produced in extra or excess amount, to neutralize the HCl, we take the tablets or the syrups, which are antacids against acidity. Antacids means, anta means anti or against. The drugs or chemicals which are against and acidity are called antacids. Okay? Drugs here means medicines. The medicines which we intake to keep our acidity problem under control. So the first use is to make antacids. Then the second use is it helps in the preparation of baking powder. I hope you all are well aware what do you mean by baking powder. Baking powder is used in making in bakery. Yes, it is used to make the things fluffier. So how this baking powder is made? You take your baking soda. When the baking soda is mixed with some edible acids, when this baking soda is mixed with edible acids, then the product formed as a result of this reaction is baking powder. The strength of baking powder is somewhat less than baking soda. Okay, baking soda is more stronger than baking powder. So this is the use of baking powder. Next, as baking powder is used in bakeries, so baking soda can also be used. So baking soda is used in making the cakes, or you can say what we make idlis, fluffy. It gives a fluffy texture or a softness to our dishes. So this is the important use. Why baking soda makes them fluffy? Why we get them soft? Have you ever observed in the cakes and idlis, what we have is they are very soft and they contain very minute pores or holes. They have very much holes on their surface, and these holes, why they are formed? These holes are formed as a result of when the CO2 is evolved during this reaction. Okay, during this fermentation reaction, to make them fluffy, the process involved is fermentation. And during fermentation reaction, let me write here, for making everything fluffy, the reaction is fermentation. This process is called fermentation reaction. And this fermentation, in the process of fermentation, we have our carbon dioxide released from these holes. The carbon dioxide gets released in this fermentation reaction as a product, and it creates, the release of carbon dioxide creates small minute pores. It creates minute holes in the dishes, okay, in our cakes or idlis, whatever you make. So why we get these fluffy texture? Only because the reaction involved in this is known as fermentation reaction, and this fermentation reaction releases CO2, and when the places from which CO2 gets released, then we get a minute hole, so we are able to, so they are soft and we are able to compress them. Then comes the next use of baking soda. So baking soda is used for making antacids. In this, it is also used in fire extinguisher. It is also used in fire extinguishers in the form of soda ash. Okay, so it is, remember this, baking soda is also used in fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are the devices which helps to prevent fire. So this baking soda is used in fire extinguisher in what form? In the form of soda ash. So this is whole of the account of baking soda. I hope you got this, you understood this. We have discussed, as usual, the general points what we are taking into consideration is, first point is chemical formula. Then is the chemical name of the compound given. Then you should know how the compound is prepared, what is the preparation reaction, and the last is its uses. Okay, so this completes your chemical compounds. Now one more compound what we have to study is the last compound, which is plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris. This is the common name of the compound. in exams you could be given a question that what do you mean, give the chemical name and chemical formula of plaster of Paris. Or you can be asked what is the common name of calcium oxychloride. Then you have to answer that calcium oxychloride is also known as what? Bleaching powder. So here plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris is the common name of the compound. Now next what we'll discuss is the similar pattern. Okay. First we have to discuss its chemical name. What is the chemical name of plaster of Paris? Then we'll discuss the chemical formula of plaster of Paris. The chemical formula. So coming on to the chemical name of plaster of Paris. Chemical name is calcium sulfate. It is calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Again the term hydrate has come. We have seen hydrate. Hydrate means the hydrated form of the compound. Hydrated form का मतलब जिस chemical में crystalline water present होता है, it is known as hydrated. How we show crystalline water? Putting dot 10 H2O or putting dot some molecules of H2O. Then that represents hydrated form of the compound. So its chemical name is calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Now see, first we'll try to make the formula of calcium sulfate. I am again repeating how to make the formula. So the question is, write the formula of calcium sulfate. First of all, you should know the symbols. So calcium का symbol है Ca and sulfate is SO4. Then we write their valency or charges. Calcium is always +2 and sulfate is -2. Then what is the next work? After writing, for the formula writing, formula making, we write the symbols, we write their valencies. Then next is what? Next is we cross multiply the valencies. This -2 goes to calcium and this +2 goes to sulfate. And you know plus minus is minus and 2 minus 2 is 0. That is no suffix will be added. So what we get the formula is CaSO4. +2 and -2 cancels each other. They are equal. When the numbers in the valency are equal in magnitude, that is in amount, both are 2 and 2, and you have opposite signs, that is plus and minus, then these are exactly cancelled and you get the formula as CaSO4. Okay, so writing the formula here, what did you get as formula? We are studying now plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris is called what? Calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Then the formula which we got for calcium sulfate is CaSO4. And the remaining thing, hemihydrate. Hemi stands for, it is similar to semi. What we study in maths, na? Semicircle. Semi means half. So hemi here also represents half. And half what? The hydrated forms mean water molecules attached to the compound as crystalline water. So what we have is CaSO4 dot. Hemi means half, and for the hydrated term we add our water. So the formula becomes CaSO4 dot half H2O. Now what we'll study next is, yes, its preparation. The preparation method of plaster of Paris, or I should say calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Preparation method. How this is prepared. So for the preparation, what we do is, we take calcium sulfate decahydrate. This is what, the reactant what we have taken is calcium sulfate decahydrate. Deca means 10 water molecules, and for the crystalline water we are adding hydrate term. And this calcium sulfate decahydrate is commonly called gypsum. Okay, so you take your reactant as gypsum, and when you heat this reactant at what? At 100 degrees Celsius temperature, we have studied chapter 1, that was chemical reactions and equations. In that we studied, we write the reactant on LHS left hand side, we get the products on our right hand side. In between the reactant and product, to show the direction of reaction, in which direction is the reaction coming or proceeding, we use an arrow sign. So this is our arrow. It shows what? It shows the direction of reaction. So this was also a revision of chapter 1. Then we use the reaction condition. Okay? We write the reaction conditions in which the reaction is occurring on the top and bottom of the arrow. So this triangular symbol, as already told you in the first chapter, it stands for heat. So we are providing heat to our reactant, and this 100 degrees centigrade or 100 degrees Celsius is what? It is the temperature. So this is the temperature what you have to provide. So you heat up this gypsum. Calcium sulfate decahydrate is heated at 100 degrees Celsius, and what we get here as a product is calcium sulfate hemihydrate. That is our plaster of Paris, and the remaining water is evolved. This water is released out in the air. So this is the preparation method, how we can prepare plaster of Paris. The reactant used to prepare plaster of Paris is gypsum. So when gypsum is heated at 100 degrees Celsius, then the product obtained is what? Plaster of Paris. The product obtained is plaster of Paris, and this water, the remaining water, is released out. Now if you carefully observe this formula, CaSO4 dot half water. This half, I already told you, it is a crystalline water, but here it does not mean that water is being broken and only half of the molecule is used. No, what this half signifies it, let's suppose if I add a suffix 2 here, or if I add a suffix 4, okay, for balancing if I add 4 here, so what I get is 4 calcium sulfate molecules, and 4 multiplied by half is when this 4 is multiplied by half. Here calcium sulfate molecules are 4 in number. And what about water? For water, I have already told in balancing, we multiply the coefficient with this number, half. So 4 into 1 by 2. 2 ones, 2 twos are 4. So we get 2 here. That means with 4 calcium sulfate molecules, what we have 2 water molecules attached in the form of crystalline water. So this means 4 molecules share how many water molecules? 2. And if I put 2 here, what I get? I'll get that 2 calcium sulfate molecules share 1 water molecule, because 2 into 1 by 2 gives 1. 2 multiplied by 1 by 2. 2 into 1 by 2 is 1. So it means 2 calcium sulfate molecules share 1 molecule. That is, if I suppose 1 calcium sulfate and the other calcium sulfate, these both calcium sulfate share what? A single molecule of water is shared equally between both the molecules. So this is the meaning of this half crystalline or hemihydrated form. So this was all about plaster of Paris. The common name is as given, plaster of Paris. Then we have its chemical name. Chemical name is what? Chemical name is calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Then we have its chemical formula. Chemical formula is CaSO4 dot half H2O. Then is its preparation method. Preparation is quite simple. You just have to remember one reactant, that is gypsum. When gypsum is heated at 100 degrees Celsius, what we get? We get plaster of Paris, and remaining water is evolved out. And I told you this half means 2 molecules share 1 water molecule equally. Now what we have to discuss is the uses. We are now on the uses of plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris can be abbreviated as what? POP. We can write uses of POP, plaster of Paris. POP term is very common. You may have heard. So the first use of plaster of Paris is, it is used in making false ceilings. It is used for making what? False ceiling. This is the first use. I hope you all understand the false ceiling, which we make in our rooms. So it is used, this POP is involved in the making of false ceiling. Then the second use, what is the second use? It is used for making statues and idols, or you can say decorative articles. It is used in making decorative articles. Decorative articles such as statues and different idols. So this is its second use. Next use is, it is used in setting the bones. It is used in setting the bones which may be injured during the fractures. Okay, the bone we injure during the fractures is setted upon by using plaster of Paris, or I should write it directly, during fractures. The bones which are injured during fractures is made to set by using POP, plaster of Paris. You may have seen the decorative articles. Just recently Ganesh Chaturthi or Ganesh festival has passed, है ना? So in that festival, the POP articles are banned. Now we are using the eco-friendly ones. POP की मूर्तियाँ नहीं use करने का बोला गया. Because these are, what are the harmful effect? These are the uses. It has one harmful effect, that the idols or statues made from POP, that is plaster of Paris, are non-biodegradable. These are non-biodegradable, which means they contain or they take several thousands of years to get decomposed. So they cause, and hence they are non-biodegradable, they cause pollution to our environment. So this is a hazard, or this is the disadvantage of using POP. It is cheaper in cost, but the idols made from this cause pollution because they take thousands of years to get decomposed. So this is the harmful effect of POP. I hope you understood all these terms, okay? Now we shall discuss some questions which are given in your books. The first question is given on page number 18. The first question given on page number 18 is, you can all open your books and see into it. You have been provided with 3 test tubes. It is given that you have been provided with 3 test tubes and a red litmus paper. And a red litmus paper. This is a very easy and a logical question. I hope you all can attempt this. So it is given that any one of the test tube can contain an acid, any one is base, and the remaining third is what? It contains distilled water. Distilled water means pure water. We don't know which one contains acid, base and salt. Let me name the 3 test tube as P, Q, R. And you only have a red litmus. How would you identify? So first of all, what you do is, for getting the answer that which one is acid, which one is base and which one is distilled water, what you do is, take your red litmus paper, take the red litmus paper and dip it one by one in the 3 test tubes, okay? Dip it in the given test tubes or in the given solutions, in all 3 solutions. You will observe then, when red litmus is dipped into a acid, red litmus, when it is dipped into a acid, we would show no change because acid does not react with red litmus. When it is dissolved in water, if you take the red litmus and put it in water, then again no change would be observed. But when you put this red litmus in what? When you put it in base, your red litmus paper will change to what? It would change to blue color. So from here you can identify your base. So we got one answer for the base. We can identify base that when the red litmus in whichever test tube it is dissolved, when this changes to blue color, then you have your base. So now we have identified base here. Now we are left only with 2. That is, which one is acid here and which one is distilled water. Now, as you had red litmus paper, and on dipping into the base, it changed to blue. So now, which color you have? You have a blue colored litmus paper. So now, take this blue colored paper and dip it in what? Acid. Take your blue litmus and mix or dip this blue litmus into your acid. On reaction of blue litmus with the acid, what you get? You get a red color change. You will observe a red color. So it would be clear your acid solution is what? Now what you have is you have the blue color, that is you identified the base, you identified the acid. So the remaining would be what? Distilled water. So this was a very easy question. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. The next question is on page number 22. Page number 22. The question says, why should curd and sour substances not to be kept in brass and copper vessels? Sour substances here means, what do you mean by sour? Is it acid, a base or salt? From the word sour, we have read all the properties. We remember that acids are sour in taste and bases are bitter in taste. There is no mention of salt about taste. So this shows that the sour substances are acid. And if we store it in copper vessel or brass vessel, copper and brass are here what? These are the metals. And I have already told you in the chemical properties that acid shows a reaction with metals and hydrogen gas is evolved out. So these acids should not be kept in metal vessels. Why? Because acids readily react. Readily means easily. Acid readily reacts with what? Metals. Acids readily show or fastly show a reaction with metals, and they will form a hazardous or poisonous component. This reaction will form a salt, and this salt will be very poisonous. So if you keep your sour things in copper or brass vessels, which are metallic vessels, then a poisonous substance would be formed, and this poisonous substance would be toxic for your body, and it would in turn cause diseases. So it is advised never to store acid or base in a metallic vessel. Now comes the question number 2. On page number 22, the question 2 is, which gas is liberated when acid reacts with metal? So this is really easy question. We have already discussed in the previous video when we were discussing the chemical properties. This is question number 2 given on page number 22 of your NCERT. It is saying that give the reaction what happens when an acid reacts with metal. So you all know the reaction of acid with metal produces a salt, and in turn which gas is released? Hydrogen gas. It is also further asked that what is the confirmatory test for this hydrogen? We have already dealt in detail. To confirm that the released gas is hydrogen, you do a pop test. What was the pop test? When the bubbles of hydrogen appear, and if you bring a burning candle near it, then this burning candle will burst slightly, producing a pop kind of sound. It produces a pop sound. So this was the confirmatory test, and you can easily provide an example for reaction of acid with metal. Let's say acid is our HCl, that is hydrochloric acid. On reaction with any metal, you take zinc here, then the salt formed is ZnCl2 zinc chloride, and in turn the hydrogen gas is resolved or evolved out. So this was the answer to page number 22, question 2. I hope you will practice all the other given questions in your NCERT books. If you have any kind of doubts, you can ask me anytime. Thank you for joining the class. I hope you will continue with our classes. Thank you, students.